Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down the NBA Finals and also the ungrateful Chennedy, whatever her last name is. Nobody knew it before she went after Caitlin Clark, and you can't teach that. Bada boom. Man, the people in the room. How you doing?
That was electric, Tanner. I'm doing pretty good. I got a busy day lined up. We're going to record this show. I'm going to do a little bit of work, and then I'm flying out to Colorado. Going to go hang out with my mom for the week. So busy times, but also a very good time in the sports world because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, definitely. We got NBA Finals. We got Stanley Cup Final. We're kind of going downhill a little bit, though. We're getting to that point where it's like, I was looking at picks today, and it's all baseball or WNBA. I'm not laying 12.5 points with the Connecticut Sun, though. But it's all like, it's all baseball for me right now. And it's kind of, I'm looking forward to football season. I'm looking forward to NCAA 25 or college football 25 coming out to play that a little bit. Get ready for Madden to come out. Madden comes out, then the season starts. So I'm very excited.
I saw a cool tweet from Mitchell Schwartz, former Chiefs lineman. It was a clip of the NCAA of the video game, and it was they were highlighting a feature where you've always been able to hurdle, but now you can use it as like an effective, just like a juke move almost to get over somebody. And he was saying, forget the hurdle. And he was looking at the actual like blocking schemes and everything. He's like, why is the back running outside zone and the linemen are running inside zone? And I've played like Madden before. I have wondered that. Like sometimes, like, where are my linemen? Like I've called this play and the linemen aren't where they're supposed to be.
No, I've had plays like just seeing like we'll run like trap or something, or we'll run zone in Madden. I'm like, I'm playing as the running back. Like I'm in like career mode and I see it. Like it's perfect. Like we got 5 on their 5. Like we can account for everybody. We just need an easy double team up to the linebacker here. And they like don't come off to go to the linebacker like every time. It's so weird.
And then they just like the game doesn't ID the mic. It feels like ever.
Yeah, the blocking schemes are always, but again, they're not going to get the blocking schemes, right? We just want to see the skill players go. Now, I'm confused though a little bit because in Madden in college football, I'm seeing like Caleb Williams is like the centerpiece of some of these ads, but like, is he he's not the starting quarterback in the game, obviously.
No, he wouldn't be. But I guess it's just kind of like how it's based on the last season. You know what I'm like Josh Allen was the other athlete. He had a great year before. I guess it's maybe that type of deal.
Yeah, the trailer maybe is based on that. And they're definitely going to be, all those guys are going to be in the game in terms of like whatever ultimate team. So I'm excited. I can't wait.
I'm trying to remember who's on the cover for the game. It was
there's like 3. I think there's 3 guys on the cover.
It was a Michigan guy. I think it was Quinn Ewers. Let me see here.
Quinn Ewers. It's you, Edwards, Hunter, Ewers.
Oh, that's who it was. It was Travis Hunter. Yeah. Okay.
Judkins, Beck. So it's like all those guys. But Edwards is the front and center, and Hunter and Ewers. But also too, the covers like don't matter as much anymore.
Really? I would say the covers almost matter a little bit more as far the NCAA game specifically, since we're getting like player names in the game for the first time.
But everything's digital. Like I remember having to go to GameStop and actually like pick up a physical game. Like you don't do that anymore. You just buy it online.
I see what you're saying. No, from that perspective, yeah. There was this whole like getting a new video game was like a ritual. Like I don't know if you ever did a midnight release, but even if you didn't, whether your parents would drive you to the store or you'd ride your bike over there, you'd walk over to the little shopping plaza, go to GameStop, and then you had $50. $50 was a lot as a kid, so you had to pick out whatever game it was, and maybe the new 2K just came out, the new Madden, whatever it was. It was a cool experience just to go through that whole process.
Yeah, you had to call GameStop and do all that. Like it was different era. Now it's like you just come out and you download the game. Like if I pre-ordered the game, it's going to download to my console right now, and then on the 16th of July, I believe, or 17th, whatever it is, I can just turn it on. So I'm going to play it. So it's a different time. The kids got a lot easier, but that's I'm saying from like a cover perspective. Like the cover used to mean, so I don't care who's on the cover now because I'm just downloading the game, which is still cool. Like you see it in your thing, but I don't have the physical copy.
I will say everybody, our age and older than us who's thinking they're going to fire up the glory days when you get on this game, don't play online. If you play online, you're going to play some 12-year-old who's going to beat you 100-0, and it's just going to ruin the experience for the game. Just stick to Road to Glory. Stick to offline.
I hate playing. I don't like playing online, even in Madden. I call me uncompetitive or whatever. I like playing against the computer. I like doing franchise. There's something they have like, and again, I'm not the biggest gamer. I play my games, but they have online not franchise, but like online, not Road to Glory. It's the other one. Dynasty mode. That's what they call it.
Oh, yeah.
Online Dynasty. So you can play against people and stuff in Dynasty. It'll be cool. I'm excited. I can't wait. But anyways, Grant, enough video game talk. First of all, subscribe to the YouTube channel right now because we have a banger of a show and you're not going to want to miss the next show and the next show. We're going to talk betting for the NBA Finals. We're going to get you ready for that. But we got to talk about Chennedy Carter. And Grant says Kennedy. It doesn't matter what her name is, quite frankly. Okay. She is picking on the greatest women's basketball player. She's picking on the reason that the WNBA is on charter flights. And I'm not okay with that, Grant. So why don't you start and then I'll follow up.
I mean, we're both of the same perspective here. It's just ridiculous with the way that they are treating Caitlin Clark. And this isn't sticking up for the rookie. This isn't sticking up for the, I mean, she's tall for women's standards, but she's still like 5'11", like sticking up for the smaller girl, sticking up for the skinny girl. It's none of that. It's sticking up for literally the reason that you are going to become rich. I don't know how much money.
Rich is a stretch, Grant.
I think they will be rich. I was just about to say, I don't know how much money Kennedy, whatever her name is making right now. I know Caitlin Clark's, I think, on $76,000. But like the WNBA is about to get a lot more money. They're negotiating a new media rights deal this year. If you don't think Caitlin Clark's going to play a huge impact in that, then you are absolutely crazy. There's going to be more endorsements, more eyes coming to this league. We're seeing stadiums start to fill out more. There's that whole thing with the Aces looking for a different arena specifically just for when they played the Fever. Like, she might not be rich right now. Again, I don't know what her off-court endorsements, stuff like that, brand deals and all that, but there's about to be a whole lot more money pumped into the WNBA. And they say, a high tide raises all ships. Caitlin Clark is the reason the tide is coming in. She is raising that entire league. And again, I'm not sticking up for her because I feel like she has been mistreated or she has some sort of privilege or anything like that. But you just have to have some level of awareness. It's okay. It's one thing to not like her. I don't care if you don't like her. And by the way, she has no reason to dislike her. I think she dislikes her because she's teammates with Angel Reese, and we know the history that Angel Reese has with Caitlin Clark. But just to treat her this way, you want to talk shit about her behind her back, behind closed doors, that's fine. You want to dislike her? I got no problem with that. But when this girl is literally tied directly to your livelihood, the amount of money that's going to go into your pocket, your future success, how many young girls are going to get to see the WNBA, how many of them are going to start playing basketball. It's just flat out stupid and ignorant to treat her the way that they have been so far.
Well, if Chennedy Carter keeps talking, she's not going to have a team. Like, nobody's going to take her because, first of all, Caitlin Clark is the meal ticket for the WNBA. Very few people cared before Caitlin Clark stepped into the league. Very, very few. People are starting to care. It's still not there yet by any means. But the WNBA has some eyes on it because of Caitlin Clark. That is it. And we talk about, I saw a tweet too. Somebody came out and was like, and I forget what the tweet was. I wish I had it here, but it's like just focusing on Caitlin Clark is disrespectful to all these other great rookie players. Like, I'll tell you what, Cameron Brink and Angel Reese, I hate Angel Reese too, by the way, but they're fantastic, right? They're good basketball.
Well, I mean, players. Angel Reese is actually playing like dog shit so far.
Honestly, Grant, I don't watch, so I can't.
Cameron Brink's been playing really well.
I can't tell you, but as far as I do know that they have a meal ticket named Caitlin Clark and a charter plane ticket named Caitlin Clark. But out of those two players, right, they're not moving the needle. They're not by themselves coming in the league. They're not moving the needle whatsoever. It's just not happening. Caitlin Clark is moving the needle. There's a reason she's getting paid all this money. And they're just simply like Chennedy Carter, all these other girls, they're simply jealous. And that's a problem to me. Also, Angel Reese is a baby for not going to the press conference. You're not acting like a professional athlete. You're acting like a little 18-year-old stuck-up POS.
No, she is absolutely acting like a spoiled brat. And if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, there's a play where the Fever are taking the ball out. Caitlin Clark, it's just standard. She's just going, 1-2 feet away from the baseline, got her back turned to the other 92 feet of the court. She's just going to get the little inbound pass, turn around, dribble down court. Nothing special. Kennedy just runs up to her and just flattens her. She hits her just square in the back, like while running into her, knocks her to the ground for no reason. And then Angel Reese,
they don't call it either.
And then Angel Reese is over on the sideline. She's on the bench, and she gets up and she's waving her arms around and cheering like she just won the Super Bowl MVP. And this is what I'm talking about specifically, because it's clear as day that Angel Reese does not like Caitlin Clark. And again, maybe it's because of on-court rivalry. Maybe. I think that's obviously not the case. She's got some personal animosity towards her. Whatever it is, you can tell it extends beyond the veil of basketball. And if you're going to walk that line, if you're going to be you live in Chicago, it's a tough-nosed city. If you're going to be that trash talker, if you're going to be that borderline dirty player, then you have to own it. Like you said, you cannot skip out on the press conference after you make a mockery of yourself and your team against this woman who, again, is literally lifting you up, putting money into your pocket. It's just not fair for you to accept the benefits of that and then be able to hide yourself from criticism. And like I said, Angel Reese is playing pretty horribly. She's averaging 10.5 points, 9 rebounds. Okay, she's basically averaging a double-double. I get that. She is a big man, not a stretch 4, stretch 5. She sits in the post and doesn't go anywhere else. She is shooting 35% from the field. That is below league average 3-pointers. And again, she's taller than most of these people on the block. So she's playing horrible. And for her to do that, for Chennedy to do that, it's just dumb. It's flat out dumb. It's ignorant.
Who does Angel Reese think she is? Like, what has she done? You're on a 3-win WNBA team. You've played in like 10 games, right? About that. Yeah. Who do you think you are not going to the press conference? And all this stuff with Chennedy, it's just so clear that they are jealous of Caitlin Clark. And if I'm the WNBA too, they should be calling the referees and saying, you need to shut this down. Like that, it doesn't make sense. Like, she's our meal ticket, guys. The league knows that. They're trying to get all these rights and all this. Like, local television can't film WNBA games anymore. I saw that tweet. Like, they're not allowed to, because the WNBA is all big on their britches right now. But it's because of one person, Caitlin Clark. That's it.
And we need to make this clear. This is not because we're Caitlin Clark fans or anything like that. Like, it could be any person in Caitlin Clark's shoes, and it could be any person in Angel Reese's shoes. It doesn't matter who they are, where they came from, how old they are, anything like that. It's the fact that they're just being stupid. Like you said, Caitlin Clark is a walking bag of money, and they are not just them either. Like, it's been a whole bunch of WNBA players that are just like ripping into it. It's like nobody wants to see the WNBA fail more than the WNBA players. And it's just the most baffling thing.
They liked flying on Southwest Airlines. Like that's what they're acting like right now. And my biggest issue, I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say, I see a lot. The majority of people have this opinion, like on Twitter that I see. There are some people out there that do believe that the WNBA suddenly just got really cool. Like, it's just all these rookies are coming in and people care now. If you don't think that Caitlin Clark is the reason people care about the WNBA, you need to go get checked out. You legitimately need to go get checked out, because she makes more probably on that sneaker deal than 99%. I mean, I'm sure if you throw Sabrina and Brianna and like a few of these girls into a like a pool, like they probably can get to that number. Maybe, probably not. She probably makes more than all of them on that sneaker deal. That's a lot of money.
I think I could be wrong, but I think it's the most lucrative sneaker deal for a women's basketball player ever.
I mean, she makes more than a lot of the guys.
Yeah, it's like we can start to wrap this up, but we've talked about this before. Tanner and I are not disrespecting any of the players in any way or disrespecting their talent. Like, Sabrina is amazing. Ajay Wilson is amazing. You know, Brianna Stewart and Diana Taurasi, all these great. Like, they're all great players. And is it unfortunate they didn't have the same, not microscope, same spotlight that Caitlin Clark is? Sure. And, you know, these other members of a rookie class, like, is Angel Reese a good basketball player? Yes. Is Cameron Brink a good basketball player? Yes. But you look at the difference, like, Cameron Brink has been in the headlines too, and she has embraced it, and she's taken off, and now people love her. Like, you can't open up Twitter without seeing somebody simping for Cameron Brink. It's just two very different ways to approach it.
I don't really see anyone talk about. I'm not in the weeds of WNBA Twitter, but like I see a lot of people. The biggest tweet I see with Cameron Brink is like, if Caitlin Clark looked like this, they would hate her even more. That's the biggest tweet that's the biggest tweet I see. But yeah, in the end of the day, they're all great athletes. I'm sure Chennedy is a solid athlete, even though she let's see. She was
once the 4th overall pick in the draft, and then I don't know if this
cut.
is true. I saw she got released for fighting a teammate.
Yeah, she got released for behavioral issues. Obviously, she's got behavioral issues. She's got because you're a dumbass to tweet that. You literally called out the golden child on Twitter, and you don't think people are going to respond. Like, I don't know. They're not great. You know what? It's pisses me off. They're all on charter planes, filming themselves. How this is cool. Like, there's one person that got you on a charter plane, Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry. They're all great athletes. That doesn't mean that Caitlin Clark isn't the reason that you're sitting on a charter plane right now. So put some respect on her name. Grant, I went to the Indy 500. Now that's in Indianapolis. I saw a ton of Caitlin Clark jerseys. Like, people care about Caitlin Clark. They don't care about the rest of the league. Now it's going to cause them to care about the rest of the league.
It reminds me of when the Cavs got the number 1 pick in the draft, and that was the year LeBron was coming out, and everybody knew they were going to take LeBron. It just hadn't happened yet, and they were interviewing some of the members of the Cavs, and they were talking to Darius Miles, and he basically said, yeah, man, I don't see what a high schooler is really going to do for us, but like, he want to come in here, he want to hop on our coattails, see if what we got going on. Like, he can do that. Like, it's the same sort of thing. Like, just keep that to yourself. Do not put it out there. Don't be an idiot.
Yeah, they can be jealous all they want, but they got to take a step back and realize, hey, like, okay, I'm on a charter plane. Caitlin Clark is that girl. Like, we're probably going to make a lot more money. Like, we might make $100,000 minimum next year. We might, so they just gotta cool. It's okay. It's okay. Caitlin Clark's going to be the face of the league forever. It's fine. Just accept it. Just accept it.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on over to the men's side of things because it's a big week for basketball over there.
Yeah, we're going head to head.
Oh, I mean, we are, I guess, because I picked the Mavs to win it all before the playoffs started. Tanner, I called this Mavs Celtics finals. You got to give me that.
You did well. I will say that, but I'm going to keep you honest here, Grant. You did say when it was Timberwolves Mavs, you believed in the Timberwolves a little more to start that series off.
Yeah, I said the Timberwolves would win game 1 and the Mavs would win the series.
No,
but I mean, I was wrong.
Go watch the tape, Grant. You're like, I lean towards the Timberwolves in this one. The way they're playing right now, I lean towards Timberwolves.
No, I went on G Unit. I went on Greg Peterson. I went on television.
I'm talking about Ride the Line.
I went on television and I said the Timberwolves will win and cover game 1, and I was wrong. I said they'll win and cover game 1 because the Mavs are coming off of a longer. I said the Timberwolves are going to have that spirit from their series, and they're going back home. They'll take it to get in game 1, but the Mavs will win the series.
Grant, I don't know. I think on this platform, I think you said I was on Mavericks and I was leaning towards Timberwolves. I'm gonna have to go get the clip now. I'm gonna have to go find.
No way.
You're like the way the Timberwolves are playing. Like I think they could win this series. That's what you said.
Well, I mean, okay, I wouldn't have been surprised if I said that because I mean every team could win the series.
Well, I'm just keeping you honest. It's okay. I'm keeping you honest. It's fine. All right, let's keep going. You're on the Mavericks.
That was my pick before the playoffs started. Yes, and it's been cool watching the playoffs unfold, and I'm sticking with the Mavericks. In my opinion, they are the better team. But if we want to go through the way that the finals work, usually the team with the better player wins. That's usually how it works in the NBA. If that doesn't happen, then it has to be one of a few situations. There has to be some sort of injury. Like think about when Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson both got injured, the Toronto Raptors win the finals. Once Durant went out, Kawhi Leonard was the best player on the court, but until then it was Durant. So that can be one situation. There can be just the total meltdown, which we rarely see. Like think of LeBron 2011, the Mavericks win that series against the Heat. And then there's just the team is so good, they overpower the other player. And that would be like your 2004 Detroit Pistons. That would be I guess this kind of falls into injuries too, but that would be the Golden State Warriors' first championship where they have, Steph, Draymond, Clay, and then it's just LeBron, no Kyrie, no Kevin Love. So what the Celtics are trying to do here to win this title is they don't have the best player on the court. Jason Tatum's not better than Luka Doncic. I think you would even agree with that. They're trying to take this approach of we are the better team. So they're trying to take that. I think the San Antonio Spurs would be probably the best equivalent of that. Like in the late 2000s, the early 2010s, that San Antonio Spurs team, they had 4 or 5 guys that could go out and win the game on any given night. And then they had the best coach in the league and they had a great bench too. So that's the route the Celtics are trying to take to win in this series. Do you agree with me on that?
I think Luka is slightly better than Jason Tatum, but if Jason Tatum brings his A game in the series and is consistent, he's just as good as Luka, and the Celtics team is better. You know, like it's
So,
the gap isn't that much different between Luka and Jason Tatum to say Luka can just flat out beat Jason Tatum if Tatum shows up.
well, that's the thing with Tatum.
Yeah.
Tatum's A game
It's better than Luka. I think it's better than Luka. If you
it's
take
not. It's not.
peak A game, yeah,
It's not.
peak A
It's
game.
not.
Yeah.
Luka scored 73 points in a game. It's not his peak A. Tatum's peak A game is not better than Luka's peak A
He
game.
doesn't have a bunch of freaking ragamuffins on his team. He's got
No, it's
legitimate.
not even close. It's not even close. We're not going to debate that. If Tatum can sustain his A game and Luka is, just playing good, not at his A game, then, we can call it a wash too. The question with Tatum is he going to consistently hit that? Because he hasn't in the past playoffs, and he hasn't in these playoffs either. He has been good in games. He hasn't been bad overall, but he hasn't been great for consecutive weeks.
Yes, I agree with that. But
Okay.
I'm just saying, I think if Tatum plays well and Jaylen Brown plays well, Luka can go out and do what Luka does. He's going to do that. But the Celtics are the better team. They should win this series.
So I on one hand, I don't disagree with you, but on the other, I actually don't know that that's true, because if you look at this Dallas team, since they got PJ Washington, since they got Daniel Gafford in games where they're starting five, which is Gafford, Washington, Jones Jr., Luka, Kyrie, in the games where those players start, I don't know the exact number. I think there's something like 31-6. All I know is it equals out to a 67 win pace. And the Celtics won either 65 or 66 games this season. So they're right about even from that perspective. And then the Mavericks played significantly harder competition if you look at the players and also just the win percentage of their opponents. So I think we were tainted a little bit when we talk about the Mavericks because they missed the playoffs last year and because they weren't amazing to start the year. But really, ever since they made those moves at the deadline, they have been incredible. And I think you've seen it with what they've done in these playoffs. I mean, look at that series against Minnesota. Yes, it was close, but there was no doubt who's going to win in the clutch moments. And then, of course, they blow them off the court in game 5. And that's a Minnesota team that did what a lot of people thought was unthinkable. They beat the Nuggets on the road in 3 or 4 games and beat them in a 7-game series.
I think here's the biggest strength that the Boston Celtics have coming into this one. And I don't know if you'll agree with me or not. They've tasted losing the big game so many times. And I think that is going to play to their strength here because they know how it feels to lose. They know what has been said about them all season, and they know they have to deliver here. And it's the last ditch. It's not the last ditch ever. I'm sure Jason Tatum will win a championship at some point in his career, even if he loses this one. But with that being said, I think the fact that the media is so against them in terms of if they lose this title and they've lost so many big games, and I think they feel like it's unfair that that's the reputation they're getting. I think that's going to push them forward here and get them over the hump.
So what I'm most interested to watch in this series is what's going to happen with Kristaps Porzingis. And I mean, Al Horford and Porzingis play a similar style. Now, they're not the same player, but as far as they'll space the court, Horford's more of a guy that'll go to the corner. Porzingis is a guy that'll actually go into like the breaks or even just be straight away, and he'll go 27 feet out, spaced that way. But they're both going to be on the perimeter. They're both going to offer you, when they're in the paint, solid rebounding. They can offer some rim protection. Porzingis being a better rim protector at this stage of his career, but Horford's a little more switchable, I guess. But, just general composition, they're roughly the same player. Again, Porzingis more talented, sure, whatever. But with them on the court, what I'm interested to see is how Dallas is going to guard them. Because if you look at what's been happening, Luka's been amazing. Kyrie's been amazing. Their contributions to the team are almost without question. Like, what's going to happen. And if you get to that final 2-3 minutes of a game and it's tied, Mavericks probably going to win. Like, that's just the assumption that you have when you have Luka and Kyrie on your team. What I think has quietly been one of the most important parts of their success since the trade deadline and in these playoffs is the 2-man tandem of Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. And I know it's not cool to talk about because they're not all NBA guys or anything like that, but if you were to combine them into one player, Okay, we're going to take Lively, we're going to take Gafford, and we're just going to look at them together. If I were to read you these stats, I mean, you would think that it was like one of the best players in the league, one of the best big men. So these are their numbers together. They play 42 minutes. They average just about 18 points. They're at 17.8 points. They are at 13.1 rebounds, 3 blocks per game, shooting a combined about 64% from the field. So if I were to tell you your center's averaging 18-13 with 3 blocks on 64%, you would look at that as a lethal weapon when you've also got Luka and Kyrie out there. And so I want to know, are they going to be able to get those guys into the post, offer the rim protection that they have in these early rounds of the playoffs, because that's been so crucial to them? And then conversely, Joe Mazzulla, one of his jobs is going to be, can I find a way to lure these guys away from the basket, open up space, allow my wings to drive? And then on the other end, can Dallas, find those lobs? How many alley-oops have we seen from Luka and Kyrie to Gafford and Lively? And can they just find themselves in good positions on the post to punish the Celtics? Because although the Celtics are not small, they're not full of big men either. Like Porzingis is tall, but he's not really an intimidating low post player. Jason Tatum's 6'8", but he's not a strong low post player on defense. At least you don't want him guarding centers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the series is going to come down to, I think Luka and Kyrie and Tatum and Brown are going to do their thing. I think they're all going to have good series overall. I think this is going to come down to the bench players and the role players and the guys like Gafford and Washington, and even a guy like Peyton Pritchard coming off the bench. Like, what are you going to get from him if he comes into the basketball game? I think those guys are going to be the ones to decide the series more than the big four for both teams.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And that was actually reflected in their regular season meetings. I'm trying to pull this up right now. Now, because they're different conferences, they only played each other twice. Once in Boston, obviously, one in Dallas. You look at the first meeting between them. Now, this was about halfway through the season. Dallas, I don't believe, Dallas had not yet made their moves. Grant Williams was still on the team. Tim Hardaway Jr. was still on the team. But you look at this game, the Celtics win the first one, 119-110. Luka has 33. Luka's amazing. He had 33, 18, and 13. Kyrie had 23 points of his own. But then beyond that, your next highest scoring starter was Josh Green was starting in that game. He had 14 points. And then Derek Jones Jr., Derek Lively had 5 and 6. On the other side, this is what you were talking about. Tatum and Brown were great. Tatum had 39, Brown had 34. So they're going to need to play up to that level. But then in the other game they played, I think this really showed, the strength of Boston, which again is in them being a team. Once again, Tatum had 32, but Jaylen Brown had 25, Porzingis had 24, and then they had about 35 points off the bench. Al Horford led them with 10. And they end up winning that game by 28 points. So you can withstand big nights from Luka and Kyrie, but Tatum and Brown have to accept the fact that they are all NBA level guys, Tatum being an MVP level guy. They have to live up to that, play to that level, and then it can't just be them as well. It has to be the team going back at them. Because if you're going to get into a star for star battle, if we look back at this series and we say, wow, it really became Luka and Kyrie versus Tatum and Brown, Luka and Kyrie are going to win, because in that sort of game, that favors them.
I agree with that. I'll give you that, Grant. I think the Celtics are the better team, but Jason Tatum needs to take control of the series too. Like, he needs to be the guy going out and scoring, because he's the one with the bad rap of not being able to win the playoffs more than Jaylen Brown. Nobody cares about Jaylen Brown. Would you agree with that more than Jason Tatum?
Well, it's just because he's the number 2. Like, Tatum's going to take all the criticism and he'll get most of the credit when they win.
Yeah. So this one, I think you need Jason Tatum to be fantastic. But as far as the team goes, I think the Celtics are the better team. So you need to leave no doubt and make this into a team basketball game. And if they can do that, they're going to win the series. They should win the series. I'm a believer in that. But there's a lot of pressure on them too. So how are they going to handle that if we do get to these tight games and they do go down 2-1 in the series, or they are, 2-2 in a game 5 going to back to Boston, then game 6 if they're down 3-2 in Dallas? Like, how are they going to handle these moments? They're good enough to handle them. I think this series probably goes 7 games. And I think the Celtics win in 7. I think 6, the Celtics could win in 6 too, but I think 7 games would be a good bet.
So I've got the Mavericks in 6, and I'll be honest, I almost took them in 5. I've got the Mavericks in 6.
You're such a Celtics hater though, Grant. You don't want to see Jason Tatum. You're going off this whole like old school. Oh, Missoula doesn't know how to coach in the playoffs. Jason Tatum hasn't won a big game. Blah blah. You're going off that, Grant. Just wait. Jason Tatum.
Okay.
It's the Jason Tatum time.
Okay, first of all, I gave Joe Mazzulla endless credit throughout the season because I said you could really see the transformation in him as a coach. Last year, when he was getting killed, I said he doesn't deserve to be killed because he's a rookie head coach who I had no idea he was going to be a head coach.
You're worried about him down the stretch in the playoffs, Grant.
I was last year, yeah, because he was awful last year. But throughout this season, I've said he's done a great job. This year, I'm not worried about him down the stretch. I am not worried about him down the stretch. I am worried about the Boston Celtics as a team. Because when you look at their advanced numbers, first of all, the Mavericks are the most clutch team in the league. That can be proved. They have the best record in clutch situations. So, and we know Kyrie and Luka, probably the top 2 closers in the league. So Dallas has the advantage there. Boston needs to at least keep it close. And if you look at the metrics, like net rating and the clutch stuff like that, Boston was one of the top teams in the league. I think they were top 5 in clutch net rating, top 7, somewhere around there. But my worry is just looking at them, just kind of the eye test, and then also their pace. Literally, they go from a top 10 pace team in the first half, to the slowest team in the league in the fourth quarter. The ball movement shuts down. A lot of just the stuff that makes them great. You know, their spacing, quick ball movement, getting the ball up in transition. You got backdoor cuts, you got driving kicks, all the stuff. It just disappears, and it becomes a lot of iso ball with Tatum and Brown, which again goes back to them needing to be at their best. Because if you're going to get into a battle of the clutch with Dallas, it's a losing battle to begin with. And then just the way Boston slows the game down, it's not something that's designed to work in the playoffs. You can make it work if you have elite shot making, but it has to be elite. Like, it's just what it is. And it's down to those guys to make the shots.
If the Celtics would have beaten the Warriors in the NBA Finals a few years ago, would you have a different take on this series, you think?
I don't, maybe a little bit, but I mean, Boston also hasn't been good at home in the playoffs for the last 2 years. They're 500 at home, basically, at the playoffs, or in the playoffs. So this great home record, I think they were like 37-4, 38-3 during the regular season. What does it matter if you're going to lose at home in the playoffs? And we saw Dallas just go on the road in every series. They started every series on the road so far, and they were able to win.
It's going to be a great series, no matter what. I think it's going to be competitive because you're going to figure out, too, if the Celtics do lose the series, and you say in 5 games, which I think is a little wild, but if that does happen, you said 5. You're like, I was leaning towards 5, though. If that does happen,
thinking about 5, but I'm going 6.
If that does happen, I will hate to see the negative media attention that the Boston Celtics get. They need to, if they don't win this year, they need to like figure it out. Someone's got to be the axe, and I don't know who
it's going to be. Mazzulla. He'll be the scapegoat.
Do you think they'll get rid of Mazzulla if they lose this year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, think about it, because Derek White is the best role player in the league. Tatum's your guy. Jaylen Brown's the most expensive player in NBA history, and you literally just signed Drew Holiday to a 4-year deal. What are you going to do? Like,
you have to win.
What move do you make?
Yeah, you have to win. No option. And Mazzulla could make a mistake in this series and be the reason that they don't get it done. But I think you probably have to cut Mazzulla, because you can make the case and say, well, you know, he wasn't even supposed to be our head coach at this point in his career. He should be an assistant right now.
Yeah. I mean, you had a great story. I think you did it on DraftKings, right? Where he was, a D2 basketball coach. He turned down the job with the Celtics.
Yeah, it was like 2018. I think he turned that down. I mean, he got his first head coaching job at the Division II level in 2017, I believe. So we're 7 years out. He's in the NBA Finals. He's got a great team, but I mean, the rise has been very quick. He's only 35 years old.
I mean, he is a psychopath. I will say that, but I gotta say, I actually really liked what he said with the media when I'm sure you saw this, but in his presser, somebody said, "Hey, Kyrie is going to be a villain coming in here," and he said, "Well, aren't we all?" And they said, "What?" It's like, "Well, aren't we all a villain in someone's eyes?" Like he is a psycho. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, again, like I thought he was tremendous throughout this regular season, and I will never judge somebody for once being bad if they improve. Like it's fine. I get so annoyed when people don't ask questions and then they just do something themselves and do it wrong, and they say, "Oh, well, I didn't know." Like, learn. It's okay not to know. Mazzulla has, from him watching The Town 4 times a week and just how he talks to the media, I know that guy probably sleeps 3 hours a night and is watching film all the time he's not on the court. And it's obvious, like, he has improved so much as a coach, but again, this is just the big stage. Like, Boston is used to getting here. It's on them to prove that the future, the present is different from the past.
They got to win. I think we can end on that. They have to win the series. There's no other option for them, or changes are going to be made, or Jason Tatum's going to be the biggest, most criticized player in the league. Like, they have to win. Simple as that. I know you have the Mavericks, but the Celtics have to win.
I do have the Mavericks. I got them for plus 185, I believe, to win the series. Do you think Boston starts out 2-0? You think they win both these home games?
No, I think they'll split. I think we'll get a split in Boston, a split in Dallas. I think Dallas will win game 5. Boston's going to win game 6 and 7 if I had to guess how it would go.
Yeah, so I'm kind of with you. I think we're going to get a split here. I don't know which game it's going to be. So I think I might just bet the exact same amount on Mavs money line in game 1 and 2, and then I would make it back because of the value, I think. Yeah,
especially if the Celtics did win game 1, that 6-point favorite is probably going to go to like a 7-point favorite, and you're probably going to get plus. It depends how the game goes, obviously. If they blow them out, if it's tight, it might stay there, but it's going to be about the same money line price. You'll win. You'll make your money back because it's going to be plus. It's going to be 2-1 no matter what.
Celtics minus 1.5 games, plus 110 odds, and then Dallas plus 1.5 games, minus 134. You got a bet there you like, or are you leaving that alone?
I would wait to see what happens in game 1, because I think, honestly, if the Celtics did sweep 2, well, I'm not saying they're going to, but you're going to get Mavs plus 2.5 for a spread, a series spread, probably.
Yeah, so, or plus 3.5. Remember, we saw that with the Denver series.
Was that 3? Yeah, that was 3.5. The only thing is, though, Denver was going on the road. Like Denver was going since they're going home, I would think 2.5. But you're
probably right. You're probably right.
You never know. Or it would be plus 3.5 or minus 170 something, probably, because we got minus 148 on Nuggets, which was a steal.
Yep, we did. Yep, and we hammered that. You found that on the show, and I hammered it.
Yep, definitely. All right, Grant. Well, that's the NBA for today. We'll talk Thursday. We'll talk about Kyrie coming back to Boston. Talk about that a little bit on Thursday. We'll talk about Jason Tatum's legacy, all that good stuff, and then give official game 1 picks.
Yeah, maybe talk some MVP, stuff like that too. It's going to be good, but guys, the only way to make sure that you are around for those videos is to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're locked into the community. Drop some comments. Let us know. I say Mavs in 6. Tanner says Celtics in 7. Which of those do you like more? Who's going to win the NBA Finals? And yeah, just like I said, subscribe, drop some comments, like the video. Tanner, get us on out of here.
That was Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. We'll see you on Thursday, game 1, for another episode.